All right, we're back, or I'm back to finish up, or not finish up, but to pretty much pick up where I left off on the first video. This is going to be part two to this particular series that I'm doing that's dealing with the statement that Vlad made, as well as getting into vegans versus non-vegan and the protein myth and things of that nature, which I think I gave you guys in the first video a description of the topics that I was gonna be covering. So before I get into this conversation, let me make a correction on something that I stated in the first video, which was dealing with Thomas Edison and the term con Edison. The information that I found, I don't know if they worded it wrong. That's why I went back and I tried to, define exactly what those statements were, or that statement was trying to say, as far as dealing with Thomas Edison and con Edison. So from what I was reading, it made it sound like Thomas Edison and con Edison could either be the same individual or two different individuals. But what I came to find out is that Thomas Edison is a person, which was a scientist that was well known throughout North America, as well as probably throughout the world. But con Edison is not an individual, is not a person at all. Con Edison is a company, and it is a consolidated company that consisted of well over, I think, like 170 or close to 170 companies that merged together to become what is known as Con Edison today. And one of the things that this company dealt with or deals with is gas, electricity, and steam. So the companies that merged together to become what is known as Con Edison, all of these different companies either dealt with one of those three things that I just mentioned, which is gas, electricity, and steam. So I wanted to make that clarification as far as what I stated in the last video. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to pick up where I left off. And where I left off at was, I was talking about the non-letter scientists who did not go to college. They were not a part of academia, and they made great contributions to the fabric of what is considered to be inventions and, the science field or medical field in this country as we know it today, as well as how it existed during these people's day and time. So let's go ahead and finish that part up, and then we're going to jump into the next topic. So the next thing that I wanted to go into, since we're still dealing with people who didn't necessarily go to a institution to do some of the things that they did, I have three other individuals that I want to mention, which is Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg. All three of these individuals are well known. Bill Gates is still alive. Mark Zuckerberg is still alive, but Steve Jobs he's no longer with us. He's deceased. But what I wanted to go into was the fact that all three of these individuals make big contributions to what would be considered science, but this is dealing with computer science. These three individuals never wrote any research papers on the things that they espoused as far as their ideals and whatnot. And according to the information that I came across, it states that never published a scholarly paper on computer science before founding their companies. Instead, they focused on research and development. Gates published one paper 4 years after founding Microsoft and leaving Harvard. And Steve Jobs, he didn't publish any papers, and Mark Zuckerberg did not publish any papers as well. But these three individuals went on to, make their mark in the fields that they chose to go into. We all know who Mark Zuckerberg is. He's famous for, the social media site called Facebook. You have Bill Gates. He's well known for a lot of things. He has his hands in a number of things. And then you have Steve Jobs. I watched a movie that they did on Steve Jobs, and he was dealing with computers and whatnot. So all of these three individuals, they made great contributions to what is known as our day and time, as far as the things that they were into that will make the world a better place. So that's pretty much going to finish up what I was talking about, as far as people who did not go to college and whatnot, or people who did not take the traditional route, I should say, as far as bringing things to the table or to the human family, as far as making our lives better. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next topic. So the next topic is gonna be dealing with let's see here. Let me find my paperwork. So just hold tight, people. Hold tight. Hold tight. Should have had my shit a little more organized, but I do not. So let's see here. How do we have this shit stacked up? Okay, here we go. All right, so what we're going to go into now is the laws as it pertains to drugs, or what we call dealing with Western medicine, as well as natural medicines, which would consist of plants, herbs, spices, things of that nature. But before I get into that, there's something that I want to mention now, because I think after I go into this topic, I don't know if I'll be able to cover it in this particular video. So it may have to come about in the next video. But what I want you guys to remember is this. When we get into talking about protein, there are 5 supplements that has nothing to do with protein that helps you to build muscle. And those 5 things are calcium, vitamin D. You have this other supplement called HMD, which is called beta hydroxy beta methylbutyrate, and zinc and creatine. And the reason why I brought those things up, which I probably should have waited until I started getting into protein, but fuck it, we're going to go ahead and just briefly get into it right now, is because when you're exercising and you're dealing with that gym atmosphere, especially when you're dealing with bodybuilders, weightlifters, power lifters, or just athletes in general, the question always comes up, protein. And there are plenty of things out there besides what we call protein that helps you to build muscle. And those are 5 things that I just named. And when we get ready to go into, the next category of topics that I'm going to talk about, which is going to be dealing with plant-based protein versus animal protein, then you're going to see that you don't need animal protein to build muscle mass. And by you even looking at this video, you can tell I'm not a little dude. I've been a vegan for 10 years. I've slimmed down from where I used to be at, but I'm still a bulky individual, and I'm not stiff, tight, none of that shit. Very loose, but my shit still looks tight. And I've been on a vegan diet, like I said, for the past 10 years, going on 11 years now. And my shit is still diesel. I slimmed down a little bit, not because I became a vegan, but because I wanted to start back fighting. But during that time, that's when I ended up getting sick, and I had to go through my transition as far as becoming a vegan. And that's what got me back on track. So with no further ado, we got that little bit of shit out the way. Let's go ahead and go into dealing with the so-called laws or how the laws regulate shit based on what is considered to be legal and what's not legal. All right, now, according to the FDA's legal definition, a drug is anything that diagnoses, cures, mitigates, treats, or prevents a disease. According to this particular individual whose site that I went to, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Sayer Jai. He spells his first name Sayer. That's either Sayer or Sayer. And his last name is Jai, I'm guessing, which is spelled J-I. And he is the founder of, I guess the name of his company is called Green Med Info. Or better yet, this is the website. So if you want to go and look this individual up as far as the information that I got, this is his website. Or this is the web address. Green Med Info. That's MEDINFO.com. So with the information that I'm going to give to you guys now, this is where I got this information from. Now, mind you, I didn't just go to one site and pull this information up and chose to put this in this particular video or put this into my research. I went to several sites. But what I did was I compared all of those sites and they were pretty much saying the same thing. So I didn't feel the need to take information from all of these different sites because they were basically saying the same thing. So I picked the information that this dude pretty much had, and that was what I rolled with. So let's get into what Mr. Sayer had to say about the laws as it pertains to drugs and holistic type ways of using herbs to cure an illness. So according to Mr. Sayer Jai, the average out-of-pocket cost of obtaining a new drug approval is $2.6 billion. An investor putting capital into bringing to market a substance that does not lend itself to market exclusivity and therefore cannot produce a return on investment is committing economic suicide and probably breaking the law. The investor has a legal binding fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders to a profit. Therefore, capital will not flow into any would-be commodity that can be produced or obtained with ease, including most things that grow freely on this earth. So basically what he's saying is this. If you can corner the market with a particular, how can I say it, product that you're trying to bring out and make that shit exclusive, meaning that you're the only one that is producing that particular brand, that particular product, then that makes it harder for individuals to get, which means whatever price that you're going to put on it, chances are you're going to probably make a profit off of that because it's not in an abundancy, meaning that people cannot just go out and buy this shit anywhere from anybody. You can't just get this particular brand and then go somewhere else and have the same brand and it's owned by 2 or 3 different people. And that's what exclusivity means. It means that it's by a particular individual, a particular company, and it's a particular product, a particular brand. And with that particular brand, you're able to make money off of that particular brand, that particular product, because you're the only one that holds the patent. You're the only one that holds whatever it is that this particular product contains, to the point where you're the one that makes money off of it. So when you're dealing with plants, that's totally different. Why? Because some of the things that you can use to cure certain illnesses with, or reverse certain illnesses, I should say, are growing right out in your front yard. For instance, like dandelion. Those little yellow looking plants that grow up out of the grass and shit, out of your yard, that's what that is. You can go out there in your yard and just pick that shit all day. So that's the difference between a drug and what we would call, natural medicines, is that one, you can just go out in the woods, in your yard, and you can pick those things and they're free. And if you know how to combine them and do the things that you need to do as far as, chemistry, to get the desired effect that you want from those particular herbs or spices, then, there's no need to go and buy a drug. To whereas with a drug, is totally different. And then we're going to get into, you know, why it's different. So with that being said, let me go ahead and say this, because with a drug, what they do is go to the source and they pretty much isolate whatever component that they want to take from the source. They patent that shit and then they put it out to market in order for them to make a profit off of it. So that's pretty much how that shit works. So now, when it comes to, which one is legal, here's a question. Which one is legal by law? So we just answered that. That's synthetic medicines, which are drugs. Which one is illegal and cannot be classified as a cure for disease? And that would be all natural medicines, meaning herbs, plants, fruits, vegetation. And here are the reasons, which I pretty much stated the reasons. 1, synthetic drugs are isolated components of the source and can now be classified as a drug and made exclusive on the market, which allows it to be marketed for profit. Natural medicines cannot be legal because of their availability. Therefore, they are useless as a means of profit and exclusivity, and they cannot be patented. So there you have it in a nutshell. And that's pretty much how, people make their money when it comes to drugs and whatnot. It's a beautiful scheme that they came up with. But, the thing that's fucked up about it is that, people depend on shit like that as if there's no other alternative. And when you don't think that there's no other alternative, then you go along with what's been put into your face and, regurgitate it year after year after year. And that's dealing with the fact that people think that the doctors and the scientists of Western medicine know it all. And they're the beginning and the end of, health. And that is far from the truth. So let's move into our next topic, which is going to be carnivores versus vegans. So now we're getting into the protein thing. So I got about 3 minutes left. Let's see if we can, cover just a little bit. So let's deal with what is protein. What is the definition of protein? Protein is any of a class of nitrogenous organic compounds that consist of large molecules composed of one or more long chains of amino acids and are an essential part of all living organisms, especially as structural components of body tissues, such as muscle, hair, collagen, etc., and as enzymes and antibodies. But if you was to listen to the average person talk about protein, they would never mention the last couple of things that I just mentioned, because the only thing they're thinking about is, where do you get your protein from? Hell, some people don't even know what the fuck protein is. They're just regurgitating shit that they've heard everyone else say. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, I got probably about two minutes left. And what we're going to do is we're going to close off here. And we're going to start back up with what I found as far as protein, which is dealing with the protein myth. And I think I got about 8 of those. So that's where we're going to pick up from as far as where I'm leaving off, which is going to be dealing with the protein myth. And it's going to be 8 things that, that I found that people still believe that are just not true when it comes to protein. So I know I was a little rocky, a little shaky on this video right here. I didn't really have my shit, organized the way I usually have. But I think I covered what I needed to cover in this particular video. And, this is going to be part 2. And, we're going to pick up with part 3, hopefully in the next couple of days. And I promise you this time I'll be a little more organized, a little more smoother with my delivery. And other than that, stay tuned for, part 3. Oh, don't forget to hit the notification bell. And, we're going to keep it moving. So until then, peace.